What's up, everybody? Reggie. We are in Indianapolis, Indiana. I've got Frank from Hatebreed. Man, thank you so much for letting us on your tour bus for a little bit and taking the time.
No problem. My pleasure.
Awesome, man. You guys are touring. You're on tour with Guar right now, which, just looking at the lineup, it looks like an absolutely killer lineup and looks like it's going to be a great show. How has the crowd energy been so far on this tour?
Well, this is only a short run with them for 5 days, and this is only the second show in. So,
oh, nice.
Yesterday we were in Lexington, and it's just, it's fun. I mean, Hatebreed's a very universal band. We are able to appeal to different audiences within the genres of heavy music, if you will, and it enables us to go out and play in front of Guar's diehard fans and still be able to bring our people here, and 20 years later, and since we've been doing this band, continue to grab fans along the way. So I think that that was the vibe of the show last night. Anyhow, we had our people there and they had their people there, but it seems like everybody had fun. So
very cool. You guys are touring right now on the Divinity of Purpose. Came out in January, which is probably, I think, one of the most brutal records you guys have put out. There's a huge catalog. It's hard to really compare all the records to each other. How do you feel about the record compared to the previous ones?
We're real happy with this record. I mean, we had a little bit more time to work on this and go back and review and just beat it into our heads. I don't think that there's going to be any going down the line from now saying, well, we could have did this here, we should have changed this part here. There's definitely none of that. We described the record as all killer, no filler, and the response for it has been great. Whether it's the reviews of the record itself or like the reviews of the videos that we've done, and just most importantly the response from the Hatebreed diehards, it's been really good. And I think it's we have a lot of people to keep happy now. We're not just the hardcore band from Connecticut that was playing in the basements anymore. So we've grown and broke into the metal scene over the years. That's no secret. And when we do a record, we have a lot of people to make happy. So I think we did a good job with that, and the response has been great.
It's always good when the fan reaction and the critical reaction are both overwhelmingly positive. Are you one of those bands that really you pay attention to the reviews and the critical response, or are you one of those bands that really it's cool but it's not important?
Well, after you've been doing this for so long, you kind of realize what you need to do to continue to be successful through decisions you've made throughout your career. And that's one thing we kind of pride ourselves on, was that we did make smart decisions along the way. That's why we were able to keep the ship afloat. I think that, with that being said, you know what kind of record it is you need to make. And I thought on the last record, the self-titled, we got a little experimental for Hatebreed anyhow with some of the things we did, and we tested the waters with that, and it worked out fine. But with this one, we wanted to get more back to the meat and potatoes and more stripped down. But everyone's opinions are welcome, I guess, whether we listen to them or not, or they have any effect on what we do as far as being Hatebreed. That's up to us to decide, and I guess for every band it is too. But for us, we just continue doing what we think that the people like and what makes us happy too. I mean, obviously you don't want to be out there doing something for somebody else and not making yourself happy. It's not going to be able to create any longevity at all. So. Right,
but in the same way, this record had the highest charting on the Billboard 200 you guys have had in your career, hit number 20, which is, like you said, over the years, you realize what you need to do to continue being successful, and it's got to be a good feeling no matter what when this far into the career, the records are doing as well as they are, and you this far into your career, it's got to be hard to hit a career first sometimes.
It is. It's exciting, and I know that when you look at the album sales of any artist compared to that's been around from now to 20 years ago, that the CD buying public just isn't there anymore. But to have something awesome like to chart as well as this record did, and to be able to still headline festivals in Europe and be playing shows that and still having the people come and just everything, and make videos and continue to tour and make a living off the band after everything that's kind of gone on in the music industry with with downloading and the closing of record stores and fanzines that don't exist anymore, and just all the kind of stuff that we have grown up on. Any little perk that we can get to be able to breathe some fresh air into the balloon, such as charting decent like we did on Billboard with this last record, is always it's a good burst of momentum for us to continue doing this, which we don't have any plans to stop. I mean, we're 20 years deep now almost, and next year will be 20 years. And,
Yeah.
you know, we're just having too much fun, and everything's smooth sailing. So
That's the key right there, is having fun. It's like when you're not having fun anymore, that's when it's time to stop. When you guys are done with this short run with Guar, you guys are continuing to be on the road. It looks like headlining tour coming up, it looks like. And now you guys are going to be in Fort Wayne headlining a show up there at Pierre's.
yeah, well, basically what it is part 2 of the Divinity of Purpose U.S. tour, which we had done earlier with Shadows Fall. So we're just going to continue this again, but we have a couple different bands out with us this time. Acacia Strain's going to be joining us, and Battlecross. So we're just continuing on with more dates. You know, we know that we're busy in the summer. We were because of the festivals in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Europe 7 times in 2013 already. And we're going back again. So there's a lot of touring coming up. South America and Australia.
Awesome.
You know, we're planning well into 2014 now. So
Awesome. Tonight will be, I think, the 3rd time I've seen you guys since last November. I caught you guys, we caught you guys up in Kokomo at Center Stage with Every Time I Die, Job for Cowboy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that show. That was fun.
That was a killer show. I remember I was shooting photos in the photo pit, and that little itty bitty security barrier they had, I was pretty sure that thing was going down at one point. And then I caught you guys last year on the Lamb of God tour, Randy's first full tour back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you, that tour, what was the atmosphere like backstage on that tour?
As far as...
just with it being, you know, fan-wise, we're expecting a lot with Randy coming back from being overseas, and just you guys all, In Flames, Hatebreed, Lamb of God, had so much history together. Being able to be back on the road together under, you know, with that situation going on, what was that like for you guys?
I mean, we toured with Lamb of God, and we're such tight friends with those guys that, like, it was like none of this stuff even happened almost, as far as like touring with them goes, because it basically was like a break since the last time we saw them. But really, he was away, and you know, obviously we wished the best for him. And you know, when he came back and we started the tour, you know, our whole thing was just to go about it business as usual. I'm sure he didn't want anybody to make a big deal about it, and I'm sure he didn't want to talk about it. And if he did, we let him talk about it. You know what I mean? But we're real tight with him, and we're just glad that everything worked out. It was a very unfortunate situation that took place when things like this go on. At shows all the time with people getting hurt and stuff, and obviously this was a little bit more than that. But we're just glad that he's back home, you know, and touring and living his life. He's a great person. Randy is a good guy. At the end of the day, he's a solid person, and I think that that prevailed. Whether you want to call it karma or whatever, but it's like I said before, it's very unfortunate what had happened as well. So it's weird, you know. And we just played in the Czech Republic as well recently, and we were there, and it's just it to say that kind of stuff isn't on your mind, especially when you travel to a place like that where there's been an incident before, wouldn't be true. But you know, we just want everybody to have fun at the shows and go home with a smile on their face, and not be hurt.
Absolutely. Is it hard to believe that the new record has only been out since January? We were just talking before we came here. It feels like it's been out for a lot longer than just 8 months to me.
To us, it's the opposite. You know, the thing about it is when you put a record out, especially a band like Hatebreed that tours all over the world more than most bands do. I mean, sometimes some years we've done 300 shows in 1 year.
Wow.
So when you have 3 years in between every record or whatever it is, and it's such an effort, and really to me it's the worst part about being in the band. One of the worst things is being in the studio recording, because it's just, you know, writing new music's awesome, but the headache that is the studio, and the long days, and the reviewing and going over and the beating stuff in your head, like
constricted a little bit in there.
For sure. And then like the record's out, and then the time flies. For us, it's flying. It's like watching the hourglass or something. But I mean, it's the complete opposite for us. I mean, for the fans, if they feel the way that you feel, then they're probably like, you know, I want everybody to get the record right off the bat and get into it so much, and then you know, really dig on it. Unfortunately, we tour so much, and it takes so long in between records that we have to let everybody wait until it's that time for us to do a new record again. But we always try to keep it current. We're going to do another video soon off the record, a third video, and you know, there's a lot of places we haven't played on the new album yet, and we plan on going there, obviously, if we're going to be touring for 2 or 3 years in between each record, so everybody can just sit tight and wait, and we'll always be back. And Hatebreed is a town. Hatebreed is a band that plays in every town. It doesn't matter. We don't discriminate. You know, we go to the C markets even. So
wow,
you know, we'll be out there.
You guys tour so much, like you said, in between albums there's so much time. There was 4 years in between the last album and this one, almost. And you guys, I think, are known for being one of the heaviest touring bands in the metal industry, and it's really cool. You know,
I mean, we try to go everywhere. Any place that'll have us, we'll go. You know, when I like the people in my family that don't really get a grasp of what I do, and still to this day, like my parents and things like that, it just blows their mind to hear like that we go to places and play like Tel Aviv and like Istanbul, and that we're going to South America and Australia and all these places and perform. When you look at some of the biggest rock bands of all time, I mean, some of those bands only go there once their whole career, or you know, some of these places we go that they would never go, and we're doing it on every record. Whether that's overkill or not, we just feel like if you're a fan of the band, that you should be able to see the band on every record that they put out, you know. And as a fan, which we are, before anything else, we're still fans of this music. That's what we hope for our bands, you know, to be able to go to see them play. We want to hear them do the new songs, and we want to hear a different set than we did last year when they were here, or 2 years ago when they were here. So that's our concept behind that.
Awesome. Man, thank you so much for taking the time today, especially getting ready for the show. Looking forward to it.
Yep.
This is always a fun place to see a show, so it's going to be awesome.
It's our first time here, so we don't know what to expect.
Awesome.
So looks a little small in there, so I'm expecting a hot and rowdy night.
It will be insane, which is the best way to have a metal show.
Sure, why not?
Yes. Thanks, man.
All right.
Hatebreed, check him out, guys.